Hi everyone, we are here on our last day this week, day 5, and we're looking at Titus chapters 2 and 3. So yesterday we looked at Titus chapter 1, and remember this is a letter written by Paul, and he's written to a chap called Titus who's a Greek convert. Paul has recognised him as a real leader, and so he's given him the job of staying in Crete and going around the various congregations that have been planted in various towns and appointing elders, leaders of those churches. And he's commissioned him to choose the right people. He's given him a whole list of characters, because character is almost more important than skills. And he said, right, appoint these people and look after them, feed them and help them. And what he goes on in chapters 2 and 3, which you'll read, is that he's concerned about how you live out the Christian faith, how you reflect Christ's character. Live out, model it to those that you're surrounding. We want to see self-control. We want to see people that are worthy of respect. We want to see people who are patient, who are kind, who are loving, who are hospitable. These are the type of characteristics we want in church leaders, but also we want in the wider church. Every Christian should reflect these type of characteristics, and we want people that can model it so everyone else can do it. It's not just something that leaders do, but it's something that everyone does. We are a body of believers. We are a ministry of all believers that all have a role to play, all have an ability to reflect the character of God in our lives. Paul talks about teaching the next generation, being a role model to them, helping them learn how to be a Christian, how to reflect the goodness of God in their own lives. He talks about being a family that does that as well. Leaders need to have a spouse that is of good character, of children of good character, families that are reflecting the character of Christ. He talks about how we should be doing good works, being kind to people. You can speak the truth and be kind, and people aren't going to blame you or criticise you in the same way. They've got nothing to blame you for or criticise you for, because you're a good person. You're an upright individual. You're not causing anyone offence unless it's for the gospel itself. Well, that's okay, because the gospel does upset people. But if your very character upsets people, then there's an issue. So by reflecting the goodness of God, we're creating a platform which is much more readily receiving of the gospel in people's hearts and minds. Living right, living it out. We've got to obey the authorities. He talks about the situation between masters and slaves. Whereas we don't necessarily have that much in our society. We certainly have servants, we have employees, we have people in control and people who are followers. If you're not in a position where you're completely able to dictate your own life, Paul speaks into that situation and says, look, what we want to do is to honour those in authority above us, not for our own sake, but for Christ's sake. We're here to reflect Christ's nature. It's not our life anymore anyway. We just want to be good people. We want to be trustworthy people. Act in accordance with that. Perform in accordance with that. Work in a way that is God-honouring. And you will instill respect in people, in your leaders, in your employers. They will trust you to do the right thing because you are people of integrity. You are trustworthy. And that means that whenever they have a question about spiritual things in life, they'll turn to people that they find trustworthy, which will be you, because you've demonstrated that already, that you're a good, kind person. You're willing to listen to people. You're willing to be a good host. You're willing to look after and care and nurture people, to teach the truth, to stand up for the truth. These are the type of people that we need in our church body and reflecting the character of Christ. But we want to be humble about it. Paul talks about humility. He talks about understanding that there by the grace of God goes us. We've been washed clean. We didn't deserve it. We've been given this new life, but it's nothing we've done that has merited that. So we've got to look at other people, and even if we don't agree with them or they're lording it over us, we've got to still realise that God has given us everything we need. We can still appreciate that they are God's creation, that God loves them, and even though we don't agree with them, we can still show respect. We are people called to be salt and light in our generation, and to pass on those good methods, those loving, kind and humble ways to the next generation. And that's what Paul is trying to say to Titus. Choose people that can model that in the next generation, in the congregation, and then the congregation itself, fellow Christians, will have a culture that is loving and kind and generous and humble. I hope that makes sense. And I thank you for listening to me this week. Wish you well. God bless.